What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel and happy Friday once again. We're here today for another episode of the Dragon Empires, a 5-minute tour today at the request of Devin McTrusty. It's all about Nagajor. And today's episode of the Dragon Empires, a 5-minute tour, was brought to you in part by Josh King. Josh, thank you so much for your time and support as always. One of my oldest friends. It means the world. Now, let's dive in. So, much of the large tropical realm that is Nagajor is untamed and natural wilderness. Think waterlogged jungles, lakes, swamps, and rivers. And these of course make Nagajor a hot and humid land that suits the nature of its inhabitants, the Nagas, and their reptilian vassals, the Nagaji. And if you want to hear more about the Nagaji, we did cover them a billion years ago on the Forgotten Race review. Follow this card right up here. We'll get you caught up. The current matriarchal Naga dynasty has reigned over Nagajor for thousands of years. It's thought that the Nagas originally came from Vudra long ago. Oh, there's another card there too, huh? Follow this card right here if you don't know where Vudra is. We'll get you caught up. Of course, how the Naga crossed the Embarral Ocean is unclear, and most scholars suspect the Nagas instead traveled through the Darklands. Man, there's another one. They're just back and forth on this here, aren't they? Follow this card right here. We'll talk about the Darklands. For their part, the Nagas of Nagajor maintain that they have always been here, that the Naga migration was in fact the other way round, with the Nagas from Nagajor traveling west to Vudra many thousands of years ago. Nagajor itself is one of the largest nations in Tian Sha, and while it is correct to observe that much of Nagajor remains wilderness, the statement marginalizes the extent of Nagajor's civilization. The empire itself is ruled by a First Mother, a role inherited for life, but the actual rule of Nagajor's numerous territories falls to individual Naga matriarchs, all of whom are largely left to their own devices in determining how best to rule by the First Mother. The only overarching law is that no territory may harm a neighboring territory. This simple rule has kept Nagajor strong for ages, despite the fact that Nagas of radically different personalities, desires, and ethics, and, alignments rule the territories. That number of territories does tend to vary, but it hovers around 24. Since the fall of Lung Hua, and we'll talk about Lung Hua at the end of this, Nagajor has had 25. A typical territory might include a small number of cities, a single large metropolis, dozens of tiny villages, or any combination thereof, with the borders of each territory generally being left to the wilds. While some of Nagajor's Nagas are benevolent, many are less so, and most of them prefer to deal with mammalian humanoids via their servitors, the Nagaji. These reptilian humanoids, of course, to spoil that episode of the Forgotten Race review, were created in an ancient time by, it's said, the first queen of Nagajor, Nalinvadi herself, and today the goddess of fertility and sorcery, one of the core deities in Tian Sha. While the Nagaji were created as a laborer caste for the Nagas, and while they continue to venerate the Nagas who rule them almost as gods, the Nagaji possess free will. They're not a mindless race of slaves. They continue to perform the bulk of Nagajor's work and leave matters of rule to their beloved matriarchs out of a fierce sense of national pride, more so than anything else. So, like everywhere else on Galarion, Nagajor certainly has its own real-world equivalent. We could say a lot of places, really, because worship of Naga, a serpent deity in Buddhist, Hindu, and Jain mythology, is pretty widespread amongst the East, but I'm gonna go ahead and call it Cambodia, because Cambodia is where Angkor Wat sits, and look at this art that we have for Nagaji. Does that not look kind of like Angkor Wat, just a little bit? Perhaps Angkor Wat's a little bigger, but you get the idea. One could certainly also say Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, places like that, but no, we're going to call it Cambodia. Vast expanse of jungle where actual snake people and snake monsters live. And if I was to GM in Nagajor, it would definitely be time to break out those snake people because Nagas are so prolific in tabletop games. Usually when I think Nagas, I think chaotic evil snake monster guy. I guess more like the Yuan Ti of Dungeons & Dragons. But the truth is, they exist everywhere from lawful good to chaotic evil, so you can do whatever you want, and you can do whatever you want within the realm of one region in the Dragon Empires. And if I was to adventure here, of course, I'd be rolling up a Nagaji. I kind of want to roll up a Nagaji anyway, to tell you the truth, because they look really cool, they look really fun. I need more games in my life. Anyway, that's all we have for today. What do you guys think about Nagajor? Would you adventure here? Would you roll up a Nagaji? Or have you GM'd for any group of players that might want to do any sort of business with any of the Nagas across the alignment spectrum, as always, throw in the comments. We'll keep that conversation going. But that's all we have for today. Be sure to like and subscribe, as always, and the next episode of the Dragon Empires, a 5-minute tour, drops next Friday.